Welcome to Culmination, where we're not experts, but we sure have a lot to say. In the process of becoming our best self, I have with me our music producer, AJ Matson, to discuss positive mental attitudes. And with that, let's get started.
All right.
All right, so my first question to you is, I'm sure many of us know what a positive mental attitude is, but what does it truly mean for someone to exhibit one?
Well, I guess the main important way to figure out what it would mean is to really just define what the word is, because it's not
Okay.
just one word, positive attitude, right?
Yeah.
Because first we need to know what is an attitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the best way to put what an attitude is it's how you think or feel about a situation or something, right? Like your
Yeah.
like the way you think about it. And so, having it be a positive mental attitude would mean that you're looking at situations in a, positive way, not negative. That's like
Yeah.
the basic way to put it.
Yeah, exactly.
So with you know, what it actually is. Actually, wait, what was your question again? Dude, I forgot the basic question. Oh my god.
It's all good. Or like, what does it truly mean for someone to exhibit one? And I guess what I kind of mean is, it's like we all know what a positive attitude is. It's like
Right.
it's that thing that your coach or your teacher tells you, and you just kind
Yeah.
of groan because it's 7:20 in the morning and you don't want to be doing geometry class. But like, it's like a difference between knowing what it is and like actually exhibiting one. So,
Right.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
what's
yeah.
the distinction?
So, I guess obviously, everyone knows what it is,
Mhm.
but actually having one is maybe you don't want to be doing geometry at 7:20 in the morning, but it's not acting like you don't want to, it's acting like you do. And sometimes acting like you do makes you actually want to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Like personally, I've never been the biggest fan of math up until 8th grade. Math was probably my least favorite class. And
Mhm.
then I started showing up to math and I was like, what if I just try to like math, you know?
Yeah.
And then once I started showing up to math, thinking I'm gonna have fun doing it today, even though I in the back of my mind knew that I didn't actually like math. Over
Yeah.
time, I started to actually like math, and I started doing really good in it. Like I started getting better grades.
Yeah, it's like it's like you start out even if it's, like, pretending. It's like you pretend for so long that you actually trick your mind into thinking, "Oh, I actually like this."
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly how that works.
Yeah, although this was one of the most, like, um, interesting questions I had when thinking about this topic,
Uh huh.
just because it's like I feel like most of the time you almost have to be a certain kind of person to just be able to do that. So,
Right.
how whether it's like advice or recommending or just your thoughts, like how can someone like start having that mindset? Because it's not the easiest thing in the world. Like it sounds super easy, but
Yeah.
like if you have no patience and you hate your class or whatever, like how can you even start?
Right. It is really hard, and it's hard to get into because obviously, if you don't like the class, you're showing up and you're I guess you could say having a more negative mental attitude about it.
Yeah.
And being able to flip that over to be more positive, it is really hard. But I guess one of the best ways I guess you could try and go about it is just, trying to trick yourself into thinking that you enjoy it, while you're doing it. Or, think
Yeah.
of something about it that you actually like, and then focusing more on, the positive side of, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of because I often do that a lot. Like,
Mhm.
or I've been like, I guess, on a quest in the past like few years of just like, all right, how do we turn the mundane into meaning, essentially?
Yeah.
How can I turn every little thing that I do into something meaningful? Um, so let's take math class for an example. It's like, I don't know, it's just like all these formulas or
Yeah.
Actually, let me talk about statistics actually, because it's kind of
Okay,
math, and I feel like that would be something I can speak more from the heart on.
sounds
Because
good.
I mean, I've always kind of liked math for some reason. Not that I'm like the biggest math guy, but it was always like something neat to me. But basically, I started AP Stats this year um, as a class that I knew like I'm going to suck so badly in
Uh,
this class. Like
yeah.
like this unit popped up in AP Psych, and it was the worst unit I've ever done on in that class. Um, So it's like, why would you ever want to do that? Like, why would you want to sign up for a whole, not to mention AP, like advanced placement class for this?
Right,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, but think about it this way. It's like my incentive or my idea of it was just like, I know that statistics is important, especially in my path of wanting to be a psychologist or just really in general, like just knowing basic stats. Because like they
Mhm.
use it all the time in the news, or like what if you're doing the stock market, like everything's statistics.
Right.
Um, and it was just kind of like a lot of this stuff seems dry or boring, but it's like I tried to get in the mindset of just like, all right, this is what these numbers mean, and this is how I can apply it to the real world. And I
Yeah, that's
feel
really
like just
important.
what was that?
That's really important, like finding a way like to have a more positive mental attitude about something. A way to do that, like you just said, is to find a way that you could apply it to your actual life and not feel like, oh, this is meaningless.
Yeah, and I think that's a big problem with school if you think about it. Not that I want to go ratting on the education system,
Right.
uh, but like I mean, think about it this way. It's like school is like not only is it like a tool to educate you, but it's kind of like a simulation of life.
Yeah.
Well, I would say school is a simulation of college, which is a simulation of life.
Yeah, it all relates back. I get what you
Yeah,
mean.
but like because of that simulation feel, it's like you're not in the real world. You don't really know anything. So,
Mhm.
and it doesn't help that a lot of the classes just kind of feel useless, I guess. Like, no offense
Yeah.
to these classes. I like a lot of these classes, but like, I mean, think about something like biology or something. It's like, oh, I'm learning about osmosis, but what the heck is an osmosis? Like,
Right. Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
like tell you that it's like a process that goes on in your body, but like you can't really. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's
I know what you mean. Like, it's stuff that isn't actually important that you're ever gonna need to know, right? But,
yeah.
like, they teach it to you.
But even still, it's like this is like a process going on in your body, but it's almost like too abstract.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely get what you mean with that.
It's like I don't really care that this is going on in my body because I can't see it and I can't really like process it. But if you're into biology and you want to go in that field or science or in general, like you actually care about it because you have something to apply that to, like a schema, if you will, like, you know, like
Yeah,
just something to relate it to.
but a way for you like, let's say you're, like, in biology and you're learning about stuff that you don't actually have, like, like, something to use it for. A way that you could think about it positively, like, how, like, it would matter to you, is that anything you learn, your brain is building connections, even if it's like
Yes.
abstract stuff that like you won't use. It's building connections that maybe you will use it for something that you will do in the future, and you won't know that that connection was there because it's something that you learned in a class, something that like you don't actually think about. Like there's just a connection there now, and
Yeah.
anything can do that with you. So like that's like one way that you could like apply a positive mental attitude to anything you learn.
Right. That's a brilliant point. It's just like thinking, well, with networking, you can think constructively. Like, if I learn this stupid, useless fact about, oh, I don't know, trains, like,
Yeah.
it's completely useless. My dingus friend is telling me about this, and I'm like, it's going through one ear out the other. But then,
Yeah.
but then you like go to some job interview, and then it's like, I don't know, or something like that. And you just
Mhm.
think of a metaphor that you can use to help you in your interview.
Right.
Like, like from that train detail that you thought was useless.
Yeah, it perfectly works with what you're trying to say and helps communicate what you're saying better. And anything can do that. Anything you learn, even if you think it's not important, maybe a year later it will be important in like its own special way to you.
Yeah, and if you think about it as important or as an important thing, you're going to look at it more positively.
Exactly. See, and that's where you can apply like this concept, anything, any class, any like after school thing, any extracurriculars, anything you do, like
Yeah,
like working, like any of that.
yeah. So let's get into it with some anecdotes. How about you start us? Like, set the scene for like I know we've talked about band, if that's an idea, but anything else too.
Huh.
Of
I
like
guess I
when
could
you
talk about band.
or like
That's like, yeah.
here, wait. Let me just get this out of the way of like what I want you to kind of set up.
Okay,
Like,
yeah, go ahead.
like a time where you originally have a positive attitude. How you like kind of learned it, I guess, with air quotes, and then how
Uh-huh.
you started applying it, and then the effects. So like kind of that structure.
So, okay. So like something that like so for example, like we're saying band, like I'm already showing up and like I'm feeling positive about it. Is that what you're saying?
Or like,
Or
did you ever like start in band where it was like you weren't you weren't exhibiting a PMA, a positive mental attitude?
I could see that. Like I feel like especially, at the beginning before I developed a better positive mental attitude, especially about band. In the beginning, like it was strange, first of all, because I didn't really know anybody there. And that's already
Mhm.
a really strange feeling that like, that gives you, I guess, a bit of a more negative like feeling towards it. Is like, oh, I don't know anyone there. It's gonna be like awkward, you could say, or
Yeah.
and then you go there and you'll also don't really know exactly like everything going on, like you don't understand the process yet, and that can be, I guess it's more of like on the like scary slash like anxiety kind of side, but like that's still
Yep.
like contributes to a more negative attitude.
Yep.
And I guess one thing that like really helps, especially in like a situation like that with band, like I'm saying, is, and this is my obviously isn't easy for everybody, but it's more like talking to the people there, because I bet you a lot of people there, they want to have like a good time, like anywhere you go, people want to have like a good and fun time.
Mhm.
And if you like try to especially in band, because you need to get things done still, like you need to get like the work done with the
Yep.
music, but like in between doing that, finding ways to make it even more fun, with talking to people, being more social, that's a great way to feel better and like have a more positive attitude about anything, really.
Yeah.
Like there's a big social aspect about it, and like that's like a huge thing. Is like if you come into something and like you start thinking more positively about it, if one, it'll make other people more like be more social easier, right?
Yeah.
Especially to you, because they see like, oh, this person, they're being positive, so that makes it like a easier to like to connect with and to have a good time, and having a good time with people is how you, I guess, make friends, you could say. They
Yeah, and
aren't
it's
just
like
like
an
strangers to you
impression,
anymore.
you know?
Mhm. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's like one of the big things about it. Or like if someone else there is being positive, if you could like this, I guess this is like the probably how I actually got into it. Is
Okay.
there other people there that were like already like they had connections, they were friends, and they were like joking around and having fun.
Uh-huh.
And if you see people doing that, then you just like try to get into also doing it with them,
Yeah.
And it starts helping you have more fun, be more positive about it, and like want to go. And that's like where it starts.
Yeah.
And I guess
And, like,
over
you
time,
just
yeah, like you start to like develop a way of like yourself to think about it that's more positive.
yeah, just because of the connections, like, that's how you get started, and then, like, talk about how, like, when you bring it to actual rehearsal.
Uh-huh. Like I'm coming in and I'm the one that has like, the positive mental attitude. And I'm coming in.
Mhm.
One thing that I, really like to do, especially like I guess this doesn't happen too often, but let's say for example, like a lot of the people there aren't having like a good day or something,
Yeah.
and they're coming in, they're like maybe they're unhappy about something, maybe, because, we have school that, like, usually before we have rehearsal, maybe they, like, did bad in a test or something, they're just not,
Mhm.
like, not having that, like, good of a day. They come into band, maybe they're not having, they're not feeling band that day. Maybe what I like to do, is just, like, have fun, like, joke around with the people. Like, I like to be the one that starts, like, having
Yeah,
the fun, and that starts you getting them to, like, I don't wanna say, like, distract them exactly, but make them feel like, "Oh, this is a fun thing I'm doing, and we're
yeah, like,
laughing," and it just
it
kinda, like,
eases the
makes you feel
tension.
better. Yeah, yeah, exactly, it does ease the tension.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good to do that, especially if you notice someone maybe not like, it doesn't seem like they're having that good of a time, right?
Mhm.
It's like, if you know that, like, that you could make, like, a joke that they find funny. And that's, like, one thing I like a positive mental attitude is, like, if you're gonna joke around about something, it has to be something, like, wholesome. Like, you don't wanna, like, jokingly be mean to them if they're already, not having a good
Yeah.
day. So, like, it has to be something that's, like, is, like, fun or, like, playful, I guess you could say, if you get what I
Yeah,
mean.
like, inclusive rather than just, like, destructive or, like, cheap shots, offensive
Yeah.
comments,
Like,
even
exactly
something
like
like ratting on someone else.
yeah, yeah, it's someone that might, that would easily take that. Make
Yeah,
everyone else laugh, and they laugh with you because, you know that they don't really, I guess, mind, you know?
yeah.
But, I mean, as long as whatever you're joking about or doing is, like, wholesome, it's like you're keeping, like, it being productive in mind,
Mhm.
it works better.
Well, also, when you're having a good time, it empowers you to do better in rehearsal, like, your work
Exactly.
becomes better.
Yeah, no, that's, like, exactly it. Like, other than, like, let's tie it back to, like, let's say you're in math class. Like, you will learn like, maybe the connections will be made faster, and you will, like, learn the material better, you know? Like
Yeah.
just to relate it back to people that maybe aren't in band, like, anything like that.
Yeah, or, like, whether you're in anything, really, it's just, like, if you're having a better time, if you're laughing, if the tension and anticipation and fear and loneliness is, like, all settled down and everything, and you're just
Yeah.
having fun, like, especially in band or, like, a team sport or something, it's like you kind of that also brings you together with a group, and it makes
Yeah,
you develop synergy, like, it goes from a positive attitude to just synergy, which is, like, a whole aura of positivity, and
right, it's
then,
like a
like
whole team building thing, yeah.
yeah, and then, like, those moments where everyone's just, like, playing perfectly and just rocking out?
Oh, you love that. You love how that feels.
Yeah, like, just everyone is together having a good time during this.
Right, like, and that is what matters a lot about having a positive mental attitude, like, that's why coaches and they stress it a lot.
Mhm.
But I feel like people, like, don't actually think about what it means,
Yes.
like, they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, positive side," like you were saying earlier, but, like, this is what actually applying it does, and this is why they stress it, you
Yeah,
know?
and I
Be
wanted to that's a great segue into this point
Uh-huh,
that I don't really hear talked about that much, and I just feel like it's super important from, like, a student perspective or just someone young. Like,
mhm,
we mentioned band, we mentioned the positive mental attitude, the PMA, like, in short,
yeah,
but this was it was almost like a campaign from the band. Like,
right,
they had presentations, like, you would get to band camp or rehearsal, and it would be like a whole 30 minutes worth of your time of just talking about why it's important to have a positive mental attitude. But
exactly,
what's
yeah,
interesting is that they were right. They were onto something. They had a point. But everyone who listened turned it into a meme, like, turned it into a joke. Like
yeah,
everyone was joking about PMA, like, you need to have a positive mental attitude.
right, people
So
did joke about it, like, I guess, obviously, you can, but, like, they weren't actually thinking about, like, what it actually meant.
yeah, it's just interesting because it's like when the teacher does it, it's like they have a point, they have experience, they know what they're talking about, and you
Right.
should listen. But, like, you will never really get the memo until you, like, find it for yourself, I guess.
Yeah,
Like
I definitely get what you're saying.
yeah, like, we found it but it was just so interesting because they literally talked to us about this, but it didn't
Right.
work. And it's like, why would
I always wonder why. Like, I feel like one of the main things is because us as, I guess, students have this, like, teachers will, like, try to explain things similar to that with us that we don't really think matters, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I can't think of any, like, specific examples right now of stuff that teachers have, like, gone on. I guess it's, like, it feels like a tangent because, like, it's not the actual material of, like, the class or, the
Mhm.
activity. So, like, we feel like it doesn't matter to what we actually want to do. But
Also,
yeah.
I think it's kind of like a representative thing too, because it's like, you know how it's like a speech is night and day when your coach says it, or like a student teacher or something versus like one of your fellow students giving like a profound speech.
Right. Yeah, I
It's like
definitely
that
get that.
relatability component.
Yeah, it's like, being like it's like your peers, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
Like people that are like you like the relatability with them just like really helps you like actually know that it's something that can matter to you.
Yeah. Um, yeah, any other thoughts on that?
Um, I think with how I relate to band, that was, like the basis of what you're like, what we're talking about here. But I
Yeah.
mean, you can really relate it to anything. Like one thing I like to relate it to is like work.
Mhm.
Like I feel like at work, like there's no team building. There's no like coach that gives you these speeches when you're at work. You just have to go, and it's like the real life. Like you go there, and it's like you have to do it yourself if you want to have a positive mental attitude about going to like let's say you work at Wendy's and you have to be there at like 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's on you to come in with a positive mental attitude and not expect like your coach or someone to like help you with that. And it's
Yeah.
really important.
And adding to that, this is a point I just thought of, like, we both work in food service.
Yeah.
Just kind of, like, telling the audience where we come from. Uh, and it's like everyone kinda has this, like, negative connotation with food service specifically of how it's, like, just awful, like, "I never wanted to work in food, like, how did I end up here?" And then when you're there,
Mhm.
it like, sucks, and, "Oh, like, all these servers are like so like nasty or whatever." And it's like this is a real connotation like at work. I mean, you and I probably see it like every day, you know?
Mhm.
Like just
Yeah.
somebody like I don't want to be here anymore. I mean, this one guy at my place
Mhm.
always says every single time I walk through the door, I don't want to work here no more. That exact line every time. I've been working for 2 years and I've never heard him miss a day saying that.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that think like that,
Yeah,
and maybe on like before they'd go into work that day, they're thinking like, I really don't wanna go into work today." Like,
yep,
they might think about that every time they go in, but I'm sure while they're there, maybe, like, every once in a while when they get really bored, they'll think that, but there will
mhm.
be moments while you're there that I bet you guys like, someone will say something funny, and you guys will just start, like, laughing.
Oh, yeah.
Moments like that, that maybe they don't associate with work because it doesn't feel like work when you're joking around with your friends, but
Yeah.
you're at work and you're doing it, and
So
it's, a
how
fun time.
yeah, yeah. How do you like, when you go to work,
Mhm.
what is your mindset when you're, like, walking out the door to drive to there and, like, just set up the whole scene, go through your PMA journey?
Okay, yeah. So, I guess well, specifically, I like to get to work 5 minutes or so early. I like most people maybe, like, show up right when they're supposed to be. Maybe some people, like, leave and then they're like, "I'm gonna be late." But that's something that's important is not feeling stressed. If you leave and you know you're gonna show up there early, then, like, you get stuck in traffic, you're like, "Oh, that's fine. I'll get there on time." You don't feel stressed, and that's already something that helps you feel, like, more positive about going to work.
That's a good point.
And one thing that, like, makes it easier about going to work is, like, maybe your first day, you don't know what to expect, you don't know who the people are gonna be, but if you've been working there for a while, something that's good to do while you're at work is to, like, joke around and become friends with your coworkers. So
Yeah.
then when you do go to work, you know that you're going to have, like, a good time going, like, like on your way there, you're like, oh, I know who's gonna like this person might be there. They're really fun. I like being around them, even if like it's working,
Oh,
like
for sure.
doing our job. Then like that you'll have like a good time, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like stuff like that, that like preparing yourself for like not like, oh, I'm gonna go in today and like it's gonna be boring, or like, oh, what if I like answer a phone call and they're mean? Like I don't think about that before I go in. Like I don't
Mhm.
like it's thinking about the stuff that you enjoy about when you go to work and thinking about that while you're on your way there. And that'll help you like walk in and be like, I'm glad that I'm doing this today, you know?
Yeah. It's totally it's almost all self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mhm.
You say before you go to work, "This is going to suck. I'm going to hate this." And guess what? You come out of it, "This sucked. I hated this." Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
but it works the opposite way too, which is what some people don't realize.
Mhm. Yeah. Like, I feel like there was a point where maybe I'd, like, closer to the beginning, where, like, there were some days where I'd be like where I would think, like, "Oh, this is going to suck." Like,
Yeah,
sometimes I would think that. But because I've already worked on, building connections with the, people that also work there, I go in there and, like, after 10 minutes, I'm already feeling a lot better because I already am like, "Oh, I remember now. The people here are
yeah,
fun. I actually enjoy what I'm doing," you know? And,
right,
like,
exactly.
like, relating it back to, like, not wanting to do geometry in geometry class, but then,
Mm,
like, if you start to, like, think that you actually enjoy it, then you will. If you go into work, you're friends with people that, like, your coworkers, you go in there, have a good time, maybe you'll start to enjoy what you do, like, making the
yeah,
food. Even if you, like, maybe you didn't like it before, maybe being there and, like, being familiar with the surroundings, being familiar with the people, then it's
yeah,
more comfortable and you start to actually enjoy doing what you're doing for work, and then you're getting paid to do what you enjoy. It's
yeah.
perfect.
And also another tactic you can do is link it to or imagine it like something that you're familiar with that you enjoy. Like the first thing to
Mhm.
come in mind is like a video game. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like in many video games you make money or whatever. Um, I mean, what comes to mind is like a Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing type thing. I mean, I don't want to
Mhm.
alienate the audience with video games, but like it's an
Right.
example of just like
Yeah.
or just a game with a score and like you're doing fun things. I mean, there's like work simulators.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
Simulators
I
to
bet you if
work.
you didn't go into playing a video game and being like, "Video games are fun," then you might not have a good time, you know? Like, going into a
Exactly.
video game and being like, "Oh, I'm doing work. I have to beat this level. It's gonna be hard." Like,
Yeah,
no, you go into it and you're like, "I enjoy it," and then after you complete the level, you come out of it with, like, more points, and then, like, that's something that you can, use in
yeah.
the game.
What if it's like you have a 9 to 5 desk job? Like the peak, like when you hear the word 9 to 5, it's like, oh no.
Yeah. Right, yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's like you have that stereotypical job. Like they made the show The Office of that job. Like the quote
Mhm.
unquote worst job you could ever have selling paper.
Yeah.
I mean, I could think of worse, but but even the worst of the worst can be the best if you have the right mindset.
Exactly, yeah, that's what it all comes down to is your mindset, and that's why having a positive mental attitude is just, like, really, really important.
Right. Well, it's just like you work at the paper company, right? Like with this, like thinking of it like a game or like a story you like or something. Like you
Right.
have your boss comes in and asks you to help him unload things from his car, like a super, like it's manual labor. It's an annoying task. You already have things to do. It's like this, like I don't have time for this,
Right.
nor do I want to do this. But
Exactly, yeah.
what if it's like a side quest or
Right,
like,
yeah.
or like if I help him or like think about things in these terms, it's like if I help my boss with this, or hell, why don't I not wait till he asks me, but I ask him first if he needs help. That
Mhm.
way, like I can increase my bond with him, my connection with him. He'll like me more and I'll like him more. Um,
Right.
and it won't feel like work, it'll feel like voluntary like actions to help my friend out.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
exactly,
then
and then while you're
you
doing
can
it, it feels more like you're hanging out with them, you know?
yeah, it's like this is kind of a diversion from work.
Exactly. That's, like, one of the big things about, like, I'd say specifically work, is
Yeah,
that if there's someone there that you don't like, and maybe you don't like them because it's your boss and they tell you what to do, then it's going to be something that you enjoy, like, not a lot less than you would if, like, you showed up and you tried to, like, be friends with them and joke around with them. Because, like, deep down, everyone wants to have a good time, you
yeah,
know? So, like,
yeah,
you're able to, like, I guess, initiate that having fun, but also being productive. Because if obviously, they would rather be productive than, have fun and mess around and then, do worse as I
mhm.
guess, a business or a company.
Yeah, and think about it, like, if I work harder, maybe my status will go up, the higher ups will notice me and give me a raise,
Right.
or will give me a better position, or give me an opportunity that I would want to do. Well, and also I'll, like, get to be friends with more people and the higher ups and just, like, building myself, like, giving myself a name, like, like, all these other incentives you can think about.
Right, exactly. Like, it's like your way of having a bigger impact on the world, and that's also another thing that I'm sure a lot of people want to do.
Right. It's like the man versus self, man versus man, man versus society. It's like you wanna help yourself. You wanna help your fellow person. You wanna also make a difference to the world if you can. I mean, everyone's different, so
Right,
they're,
maybe you have your own, like, things that you wanna go for, but I feel like in the
yeah.
end, you feel good about doing that.
Yeah, and that of itself is a reward.
Right, and that's, like, one of the big things of having a positive mental attitude is, like, there are different, like, levels to how rewarded you feel. Like, let's say you're in geometry class, you're given a worksheet. You
Mhm.
finish the worksheet, looking at the worksheet with all of your answers, all of your work on it completely done is really rewarding and satisfying feeling.
Yep.
Or let's say you work at Wendy's, you finished your shift, like you helped close down the store, you're clocking out. And if you like think about it, how many people you gave them their dinner, like so many people you helped in a way like get their food,
Yeah.
enjoy their day better because they're eating Wendy's, who doesn't love Wendy's?
Sponsor us.
Please, yeah, please sponsor us.
Well, it's like you're
But
also
like,
nice to them, and if you're nice
yeah,
to them, they might tip better.
they might tip
Or
better, then you're also helping them, like, personally have a better day. Because I know for a fact when I
exactly.
pull up to, like, any like, maybe I'm going through the drive-through at, like, some food place. I'm pulling up, if the person on the other side of the window is, like, really nice, they're, like, maybe they, like, are like, being extra social and joking around, then
Mhm.
it'll make me feel better, and, like, I'm driving away with my food, like, "Dang, that was a nice person,"
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. It's
And
like
then overall, you just have a better, feeling day.
these nuances just are really powerful.
Right, and it's cool being the person in that position that is working, and, like, let's say, you're just, like, being extra talkative or nice to the person on the other side of the counter or the other side of the drive-through window,
Mhm.
and now you're spreading your positive mental attitude to them and helping society just be better.
It's like a disease, but a good kind. And you
Right,
hope
yeah,
everybody gets
exactly.
infected.
Exactly. Because wouldn't you love that if you could, like, well, this is one thing, is that, like, let's say you're taking phone calls for your wherever you're working at, like, for example, us doing fast food stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, let's say you pick up the phone, someone's placing an order, wouldn't you 100% like, prefer them to be really nice and, like, make a joke or 2, and then for them to be, like, mean, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like a way that you could, like, guarantee almost that they're going to be, like, more nicer to you is by starting off by being extra nice to them because I feel like not many people, if they see someone being really, really nice to them, are gonna be like, "Let me say something mean to this person."
Yeah.
Most people don't do that, you know? So, that's why I feel like if you just, like, go in positive mental attitude, like, right off the bat being extra nice or, like, maybe even making a joke that, like I'm saying, you don't wanna, like, to a complete stranger that's coming in and picking up their order, you don't wanna, like, make a joke bashing on them. You never wanna do that
Yeah, and,
because, like,
like,
you
this,
don't know them. Like, you don't know how they take to a joke that could be, like, more on the mean side, obviously. So,
right.
you wanna do something more like, I like to say wholesome because it's, like, the perfect word that, like, captures what the kinda joke is that you're making.
Yeah. Like, just can't go wrong.
Like, something yeah, I can't go wrong. Maybe it's even like, a joke that's, like, uplifting them, you know?
Mhm.
Like, makes them f like, the joke makes them feel better, and it's, like, in the way of, like, what the joke is.
Yeah, or just, like, a sign of appreciation or respect.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Like, the best kinds are just the ones out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure, like, a lot of people I feel like, obviously, I wouldn't know too much about, like, how other people at where I work treat people that come in, but I feel
Mhm.
like most people probably use, like, a more monotone voice. They just, like, say, like,
Yeah.
you know, like, they just they go off, like, a script almost of what they say every time, and they don't put much personality into it,
"Hey,
and I feel like
welcome
yeah.
welcome to Wendy's." And I
"Hey,
can't take
welcome
that
to
seriously.
Wendy's." Yeah, right,
Do you want
and, like,
some
that
fries with that?
exactly, and the person on the other side that's listening to you talk like that is gonna be like, you know, it's gonna be hard for them to, I guess, have a better connection with you in a way, and, like, be able
Yeah.
to like, it's
I
just gonna
know
be
what you
harder for
mean.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's real loopy. Um,
Right.
another, thing that I thought of, I read about this in a book, but it's kind of
Uh-huh.
like how your positive mental attitude can kind of affect you, like, say you're a salesman, like,
Yeah.
you're selling a car or something, and it's like, there's the intrinsic value and the extrinsic value,
Hmm.
and to kinda break that down, like, intrinsic value or, like, incentive is, like, selling a car to somebody because you think the car is good and you care about the customer and you want to set them up with something that's affordable and like good, like a good product, which
Right.
is also kind of a rare thing to see from a salesman. But when you get somebody like that who's genuinely looking at your interest, like they're like a real catch.
Right.
And then there's the extrinsic reward of like if you sell somebody something, it's like you make a profit. Maybe you make commission or like
Mhm.
like, or you help your company like grow in status or become more wealthy.
Right,
So like
exactly.
yeah, it's just interesting because like when you meet a salesman who's like nice to you and genuinely cares about the customer, like that feels different than somebody who's just trying to sell you something.
Right, especially if they're trying to, like, persuade you to buy something and they're making out to be better than what it actually is.
Right.
That can be, like, make them seem more dishonest and be like, "I don't trust that person as much as someone who's, like, actually looking out for you." Like, something that I like to, like, a way I like to think about that is, like, let's say, like, when someone's looking out for you, I guess, is, like, when like, let's say, for example, wherever you're working, let's say you can buy, like, a bottle of ranch, and that's, like, $4, and the person behind the counter says, "If you get 4 ranch cups, that is less than $4 and gives you more ranch," and they tell you that. They're like, "You know what? I'm gonna look out for you, and I'm gonna tell you that that's something that, like, that you can do that gives you more of what you want for less money." And,
Yeah.
like, because they're not like the people, like, up top that are like, "Oh, let's have a ranch bottle, and, it's gonna be more expensive, and people are gonna rather buy that than buying a bunch of cups of ranch," you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's the person, like, at the register that's, like, trying to help you out and be like, "You know what? I can save you a few cents every time you come in here,"
Yeah.
rather than, you know, be like, just letting it be, and you trust that person more, and it makes you feel like, "Oh, thank you," like, you actually genuinely appreciate that because that person looking out for you, they don't know who you are. It's just some
Yeah.
other person on the other side of the counter that's just, like, helping someone out just because they can.
I've always liked those counter like interactions where it's
One,
like a buffet court or
one,
like
two,
like
three.
somewhere where you can kind of like see the person like preparing your food in front of you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like an ice
yeah,
cream store or like Chipotle or any or Qdoba, like anything like that.
Right.
where it's just like, how's the green beans? Like, how do they taste? And it's like they either say something like, well, I I don't know, like, I never actually had it myself, but
Uh-huh.
my friend says that they're really good, so, I mean, if that means anything to you. Like, just kinda like this honest, like, I never had it myself, I'm not going to sell you something and say it's
Yeah.
the best thing ever, like, these are the best green beans I've ever had.
Which is something that's, like, you can only really experience from, like, a high schooler that doesn't actually care about, like, the business making more money per se, but
Yeah,
rather the person on the other side just like, know like, actually, getting something that they know they enjoy
but
and
I'm
being, like,
saying
more
when the
honest with
higher
it.
ups do that too, it's like that's something special.
That definitely something special because the higher ups, not that they don't care about like, the customers, but they really care about like the business. And of course the customers are part of it, and I'm sure a lot of people that are higher up do like care about people.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but like they do really want business. And
Yeah.
if they like they'll make whatever, of course they're not going to be like don't buy our green beans, they suck. They would never say that.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm sure there was at least one person out there that does enjoy those green beans that would have, like, the best review about it, and that's what the company wants everyone to, like, see is that really good review, like, "Oh, these
Right.
green beans, they're really good."
They're really good.
So, like, it
Yeah,
makes sense, it
like
makes sense.
well, also, like, in credit to the higher ups, it's like it's probably their job, like, literally their job description to care about, like, profit and whatnot, so they're a bit
Yeah.
more, like, antsy about it. But, I mean, if you think about it, the secret is the more positive you are, the better you are at, like, human relations, like, communication and whatnot.
Yeah, that's
Like
very true.
like and the more you, like, shift your mind as a focus from, like, "I know my job is to, like, worry about the money and the profit, but if
Mhm.
I value the customer more," like, literally changing the way you think about this, like, changing the eye of the prize,
Right.
like, changing that from money, which is the reward, to the people. And when you think of it like that, you actually make more money.
Exactly, because the people are more happy, and they're like, "You know what? I wanna spend more money at that place because they care about me, and
Right.
I really enjoy, like, their service or their product."
Yeah, and when it's
And then
genuine, it's like
yeah,
everybody's happy.
exactly, and then everyone's more positive, and then it just helps society more, like, it's something that, like, is really good for everyone, and it's
Right.
like a win-win-win-win, like, everywhere scenario.
I do wanna with that said, though, I do wanna get into this a little bit.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people this sounds like the golden ticket, you know? Like, why aren't more people doing this?
Yeah, yeah.
And the big point is being nice, being positive, like, especially when it's from your own upbringing, like, if you're not just, like, coming from a party that was fun, like, if you literally wake up and it's just a reset day, like, nothing really special, it's just mediocre, and you're just
Mhm.
bringing your own positivity to the table, like, that is hard,
It's really hard, especially when you get into, like, the social aspects of it. Being social isn't easy either.
right?
Like, being social I don't think being social you may say that it is, but I don't think it actually comes naturally to anyone. You have to, like,
Mm,
through being like, practicing, be good at being social.
that's interesting because I've done 2 episodes in a sort of duology of extroversion and introversion where we
Yeah.
basically talk about, like, that predisposition of, like, if you're introverted or extroverted, it, like, determines basically how, like, able you are at having good communication or I mean, that was more stereotypes because, like, in
Yeah.
general, introversion is just you recharge with less people or more intimate connections while extroverts feel fueled by more people and whatnot. But, like, just the stereotypes of, like, oh, extroverts are better at communication. And that might be the case because they experience talking to more people. But, like,
Uh-huh.
that's really fascinating that you say that. Like,
Mhm.
that everybody has to learn. Can you elaborate on that?
I mean, I guess I could start to bring in, like, maybe being an extrovert, it's easier for you to like, learn how to do it. But I feel like just because you're introverted, don't let that like discourage you. Like you are
Yeah.
still able to go out there. You're able to like learn how to, you know, even if it like is like you said, being an introvert doesn't mean like don't talk to like anyone. Like alone time, of course, is something that like like you said, helps recharge. But like maybe like a one-on-one with someone
Yeah.
else, it's easier than like a group of people. That can help you. Like a lot of like interactions day to day are just between you and one person. Like like at work, register, it's you and one other person you're talking. Most of the time, that's what it is.
Well, also,
And
that's a different kind of communication.
it is a different type of communication, but I feel like you can learn a lot about that kind of communication from having like a really intimate talk or,
Oh,
having
right.
intimate, like kind of relationship with one other person.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
Like
like,
transferring, like me talking to you, having
yeah,
good conversation, kind of thinking about unconsciously, of course, like the nuances of how we communicate, and then applying that to something less natural, like the connection between like the teacher and the student or the cashier and the customer, you know?
yeah, yeah, I definitely get that. Like, it's strange when you have to translate, like, talking to someone that you've known for years really well to someone that just walked in. You've never talked to them before. You might never talk to them again. This might be the only time you ever talk to them,
Yeah.
but you still wanna, like, find your own ways to apply what you've learned from talking to what like, even if it's just one other person, like, find ways to apply that, and it goes back to, like, when you're talking to one other person, even if it's, like, someone that you're really close with, you're building those connections in your brain that
Yeah.
let you, like, know how to talk to someone else, even if it is that stranger.
Yeah. And also it's kind of like if you think about it archetypally, like what an archetype is, just kind of like a sort of story or idea that most people are familiar with, like the idea of the archetype of the hero, like the
Yeah,
hero's journey in a story, like some like the Odyssey or something.
right.
That's an archetype of like the hero goes through this whole adventure. Um, but it's like if you think about how like I mean, thinking about like there's personality tests, like the big five personalities and Myers Briggs, 16 personalities.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
basically what I'm getting at is people are already like 95% similar in many ways.
Right.
Um, but like even still, it's like there's different types of people, but I feel like the more you meet, the more you engage with, it's like if I talk to Jimmy, he kind of sounds a lot like Sally. So I'm able to so when I meet a stranger who's like Jimmy and Sally, I'm able to talk to them easier because they're similar in this way.
Right, and you have those connections made that you can like, "Oh, if I say this, they'll,
Yeah.
like, get something out of that, and they'll be like they'll enjoy that," you know?
Yeah, but
I
even
definitely
still,
get
it's
that.
like you need the positive mental attitude to really like that's like the I feel like that's like the water in the bread that makes it rise.
Mhm.
The flour in the cake that makes it a cake, you know?
Right.
Any thoughts on that?
I mean, it's all just, like it comes down to, like, the positive mental attitude, like, it can apply to anyone, and it can apply to these situations, like we were saying, extrovert or introvert, you can have a positive mental attitude and use things that you know to, like we're saying, like, just because you're introvert doesn't mean that you can't, find a way to talk to the person on the other side of the register.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be an extrovert to do that, and you shouldn't let who you are and, like, your identity, like, discourage you from being able to have a positive mental attitude because anyone can have a positive mental attitude. It's something that you just have to work on.
Mhm. And I also think that it's like with that, the positive mental attitude in its own is like even if you have no communication skills whatsoever, like you are the peak social awkward kid
Yeah.
or
Uh-huh.
socially awkward kid. Like if you if you don't know what to do, try having a positive attitude. Try being more genuine. although I don't wanna get too into that because I have an episode planned for that, but,
Mhm, okay, okay.
um or, like, just that being genuine, but
Uh-huh.
just the idea of having a positive mental attitude, it's like, if you have that and you have no communication skills, you are already, like, leagues ahead, brother. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Like, you are if you have a positive attitude, then, like, literally, you will do better than someone who has more of a skill in what you wanna do that thinks negatively about it.
Right.
Like, you will probably like, let's say someone's been doing something, like, let's do, like, a food example. Let's say someone's been working at Wendy's for 2 years, and they've never enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Someone new comes in, they start, first day, they have a positive mental attitude, they'll probably catch up to your skill level and, like, your knowledge of, like, how everything works and, like, the interactions with the people there, they'll catch up to, like, where you are in, let's say, like, a month, and then they'll, like, quote, unquote, "get better than you at what you do," because they came in positive and they were like, "I'm gonna learn how to do it, I wanna be good at what I do." And
Right.
then they get the promotion, like, let's say they become the manager of the store, and then you've been working there for longer than they have, and you haven't, just because you didn't come in to, like, with the same attitude.
But also, it's like you have a worse time because of that, because of your positive mental attitude. Um, and also in the perspective of that person with the positivity,
Mhm.
like, if that's you, it's like your job is like, presumably, if you're the grouchy guy who never has a good time, you're probably gonna see this, like, I mean, it's SpongeBob and Squidward. I know I already
Yeah.
mentioned this in episode 5, but,
Uh-huh.
like, it's just like a grouchy guy who sees the positive guy, and maybe you're envious or just annoyed by it, and you're just like, "Please, like, stop." Like, you're
Right,
annoyed.
yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
get what you mean.
but it's like, if you're the positive guy in this situation, like, you need to make sure that that doesn't topple your mood.
Right. I feel like if you're the positive guy in the situation, if you really have that positive mental attitude, you try and help that grouchy person have a good time. You try to have them enjoy what they do,
Yeah.
because not only would that help you not be affected by their negative attitude, but that
Uh-huh.
help them and you, and that is just better for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's something that you can only achieve with, this positive mental attitude.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, yeah, um, it really is interesting, just, like, all of these, all these attitudes, like, in this podcast already,
Mhm.
I don't like looking back too often, although I have a few times just because it's like, I want these videos to be kind of unique in a way, like,
Uh-huh.
standalone, if you will, but, like, it's interesting how all these ideas are all, like, just about your mindset, like the internal locus of control or just purpose or happiness, like,
Right.
it's all these ideas.
Like,
I
having a
think
positive mental attitude relates to a lot of things. Like, it literally is one of, like, the basises of, like, anything you do.
yeah, and it's like last episode, I was talking about the mind and body with Yusuf,
Mhm.
and we talked a lot about, like, working out and kinda how, like, your mindset really, like, matters a lot to your body.
Yeah.
And if you just, like, think about it, like, if you have a positive mental attitude, you're not going to, like, you're gonna stick it out, be careful, like, be concerned about your body and everything. Like, have you seen, like, a negative person work out? It's like they're destructive to
Right.
themselves.
Yeah, no, yeah, you exactly got a point with that. Like, it helps you and it helps everyone around you. Like, being destructive to yourself and having a negative attitude affects the people around you too.
Yeah,
Like, it isn't just affecting you. It isn't just a personal thing. Even though that may seem personal, having a negative attitude may seem like a really personal thing. It really isn't personal.
yeah. It's like the aura you have around you.
Right, and your aura definitely has an impact on other people around you.
Yeah. So what's the big I mean, we've been talking about this for almost an hour now, and we're heading
Mhm.
towards the end, but I know we've, like, touched upon it, but what is if you're, like, somebody who managed to actually listen to all of this in one sitting
Uh-huh.
or just jumping around, what's the big picture, big takeaway?
Like, the TLDR, the too long didn't read kinda version, I guess?
Either that or, like, if you're gonna walk away from this video thinking anything or just, like, food for
Uh-huh.
thought, new insight, like, what would it be?
I feel like having a positive mental attitude relates to just everything you do. It's really important, and, like, you should have that be a really important part of your life
Yeah,
because it'll in, like, the long run, definitely affect,
yeah,
like, your entire life. Like, it's just such, like, a basic idea that has such a huge impact on pretty much every aspect of your life.
yeah. It'll, like, change the way you think about things.
Right, like, your entire perspective of just everything, like, the entire world, it just completely changes that.
It's not all about the money, Spider-Man. It's about the attitude.
Got a point, though, but there's a point there.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's just, again, it's we've all known about this for so long, like,
Right.
every PowerPoint presentation, college orientation, like, freshman, like, camp, like,
Yeah.
any, like, Boy Scouts, work presentation, like, literally everything crams down, like, positive mental attitude, like, we all know about it. Although, now
Right.
that I say it like that, maybe people are resentful of it because we're so tired of hearing about it.
I would get that. I'm sure there are people out there that are like that are like, "Ugh, positive mental attitude." It's just they're talking about it again. But it
Yeah,
seems almost strange to me how much like, you're talking about people everywhere talk about positive mental attitude.
yeah.
Literally, like, so like, any, like, activity, job, school, they talk about it. And what's interesting is I feel like it still isn't stressed enough.
Well, wait.
People don't take it into, they don't relate to themselves personally, and
Yeah,
when people, like, present a positive attitude, it's the same thing every time, but they don't actually go into how to apply that and what it actually means and what it does. Whenever
that's
I feel like I
great.
get a presentation about positive mental attitude, what they do is they are like, "Oh, here's what a positive mental attitude is."
Yeah,
That's it. They just, like, define the word basically.
that's a great point. However, I would argue
Go
ooh,
ahead.
argue, like, well, I don't think it's a problem of it's like they don't do enough, but I think it misses the mark.
Yeah, that is a good way to put it.
Like just saying all these nice sounding adjectives on a PowerPoint presentation doesn't make me wanna view my job any better, you know?
Right, like, it doesn't actually change anything, especially when it's a presentation. They're presenting to a group of people. Maybe if they walked up to you personally and talked to you about it personally,
Yeah,
it would have a lot more of an effect than, you're sitting there, you're in, like, a huge group, and they're just, like, defining the word almost, like,
yeah.
what it is.
It's, like, definitely that experience or just, like, show by example, like, it's almost,
Right,
like, corporatist if you think about it, like, the way that everything has that presentation or something, it's like you
right.
never probably, like, told from their executives to, "Oh, crap, we gotta make a positivity presentation."
Right.
And that's where it might miss the mark a little bit, but even if people like, giving them the benefit of the doubt, like, if they care about that subject and they want to
Uh-huh.
make a presentation, they're not told by the executives, like, this is, like, their passion project. It's like
Yeah.
you band, for an example.
Yeah, exactly,
I don't
band.
think the principal's like, "You guys better do this or else."
Yeah, yeah,
Well, you
definitely,
fund your department.
definitely, they just decided to do it.
Yeah, but even still, it's like I don't know, maybe it's a problem with us just because 'cause we're kids, we wanna Maybe that's the problem. Like, we're kids
Yeah,
who go to band camp. We don't wanna sit there for 30 minutes and have a positive mental attitude explained to us.
right.
But there's 2 sides to that. It's like, that's like the student argument, which
Mhm.
we've actually seen, we've lived that.
Oh, we've definitely
But
lived
it's
through that.
also like, if what if they didn't have that presentation? Like, what if your
Right.
9 to 5 didn't have that work meeting or band having that meeting at the beginning or college orientation? Like, if they didn't talk about it at all, I wonder if that would be more negative than having it.
Right. I feel like at a certain point, I'm sure that not having it, having a presentation about it might, for some people, actually, be less negative by not having
Yeah.
it because they don't have to like sit there and be like, oh, they're talking about positive mental attitude again. I've sat through this presentation 20 times in the past like 4 years.
I've memorized
Like,
the script a little backwards. I can
exactly
recite it in German and Latin and
though. Like, but
Georgian
exactly
and
though.
Chinese and every language. That's how familiar I am with this dang script.
Right, though,
Talk about
because they
something else.
do it. But because it's the same thing pretty much, and I feel like it would be so much more helpful if instead of that presentation, they just applied it to the activity. Not half an hour of,
Yeah,
telling you what it is, but for band camp, let's say, a 12-hour day, instead of half hour each day of having a presentation of positive mental attitude, 12 hours every day of the like administrators or the staff or whatever you want to call it, the techs, whoever displaying it and actually applying it and like learning by, like I guess for them it's teaching us to
yeah,
learn a positive mental attitude by actually showing us what it does and what it is without getting technical about it.
yeah, and you know what? I will give band this credit.
Uh-huh.
Like, I think we've established that the presentations might not be effective, but
Right.
they already do something that is brilliant because it's not, like, in your face, but it really does hone in the message, and that's after every rehearsal, they say, "Everyone come into the middle of the field," and, like, the directors stand there and, like, the, drum majors, like,
Yeah.
and everyone surrounds them in a circle. That is brilliant.
It really is. Like, they are actually bringing the ideas into, every rehearsal. They're
Yeah,
tying it all together. And I mean, I can say from personal experience, being in that circle with everybody is like it's hype,
yeah,
you enjoy that moment.
it's
Especially
empowering.
after yeah, it's empowering, especially after like a really long rehearsal of just like really grinding out the work, the music. Let's say it's really hot outside and now it's like dark and you're super sweaty. You can't wait to go home and take a shower and you're just like, ugh, this day feels bleh. You get into that circle, everyone's like hyped up, everyone's like, they're yelling, like what do they what is the thing called at the at the very, very end of rehearsal when the drum major does like that call and response thing? Is there a name for that?
I don't know, actually.
Well, whatever that is, for people that know what that is or people who don't,
It's like a
it's like it's like a chant and it really brings like the group together and it really makes everyone excited and like it's
yeah,
positive stuff.
and it's like you said, it's like everyone's ready to clean off themselves and, like, get in their PJs and watch YouTube or
Oh yeah.
or
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
Like, but it's so strange because I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like most people who are in that group were just like they were like, "I want to go home. I want this to end. I'm tired of being here. I don't
Right.
want to be here. However, I don't want to leave until this is over. Like, I
Exactly.
want to
Yeah.
go to the circle at the end."
And I bet you with a lot of activities, maybe like even school in general or any extracurricular, after you graduate, I'm sure there's so many people that the same people that every time they were there, they were like, "Oh, I don't want to be here." Probably are like, "Dang, I'm really gonna miss doing that."
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, I don't know many people that finish, like, they graduate high school and they look back at some extracurricular activity they did, and they were like, "I'm so glad I'm done with that." No one thinks that way. At least I don't know anyone that would.
Or, I mean, there's of course going to be those, but
Yeah,
maybe
I'm
they
sure
were the
there are a few
ones who
people.
didn't have the PMA.
Exactly. And I'm sure they would be coming out of it with a lot more of a coming out of it with getting a lot more out of it
Yeah,
if they did have a positive mental attitude about that, that PMA.
yeah. That PMA. Oh yeah, I just remember that. That was like an entire season of they introduced PMA and everyone was like,
Right. Joking
like
about PMA.
it's like, oh, you need PMA, and then
Yeah,
making
exactly.
PDA jokes or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, that was a lot of great stuff.
I think so too. We got very into it and thorough with that. All right.
Yeah, I think we covered all of our bases. Any like closing thoughts, AJ?
Um, you know what? I don't think so. We kind of summed it all up, I feel like.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for coming on here, and also thanks for your rad tunes, dude.
Of course. More coming, by the way.
Yes,
You know
sir.
how it
This
is.
man makes some great. I was about to curse, but makes some great stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it.
Uh, so yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll see you next time.
See you guys.